fascinating. No matter how together you are, you can't become the best person you can possibly be without some sort of outside help. And the very interesting thing is many people try, but you've got to be in a relationship somewhere along the line with someone for something. And if that relationship gets stuck, then you really have to go and get some outside opinion. Now, this is the old saying that a fish can't see water, and nothing was ever truer spoken. As human beings, we can't see the stuff we're in, especially if it's in a relationship. And I know that's true of myself. I can see people's relationships very well, but if I want to get a really proper view on what's happening in my life, I have to go and see somebody and talk to someone and get their perspective, because they can see things a lot more clearly than I can. There's some good reasons for that, which I won't bother going into now. But believe me, it's common across everything. And so I find it very, not amusing, I find it very interesting that there's all these people around, especially, and usually males, but a lot of females too, will say, no, I'm all right, I have no problems. And I was speaking to someone the other day, I'm okay, I have no problems. Yet he was into his second relationship. He started to get a little bit violent around the house, verbally and that, with his stepchildren. And his wife is saying that, we might like to separate pretty soon if this keeps going. And he's saying, I've got no problems. When I asked, what happened last time? Well, the same thing. And I find it really interesting that we have to deny this stuff. And I'm not suggesting that I'm holier than thou, because I know I'd like to do it too. So I start thinking, what is it? What is it about our emotional stuff which we don't like to own? And I think the point is that when we go into emotions, when our emotions start to hit, we start to feel childish. And as well we could, because all the patterns that we're expressing, we usually set up in the first 7 years of our life. So when we're feeling emotional, we go back to our childish stuff. And when we go back to our childish stuff, we feel humiliated and ridiculed. And so when people don't want to do anything with someone outside themselves, that's what they're frightened of. Frightened of being humiliated and ridiculed very often. Not always, but very often. And usually that's because, as kids somewhere along the line, they were frightened and ridiculed for being emotional. Or they were punished for being emotional. So we have this phenomena where people want to really pretend they don't have emotional difficulties when they can have extreme emotional difficulties. And of course, those people, what they have to work at is why they've got those extreme emotional difficulties, because the extreme emotional difficulties, or not so much, the fact that they're not willing to work at it, that's the most extreme emotional difficulty, especially when it's so obvious. So, this is where I'm coming from, is that there's all these people out there getting divorced, and most of them don't want to. And I just think there's too many. I think 50% of divorce is just way too many. I think that, and I know that every relationship, if two people are willing to do what they need to do on themselves, every relationship has a fix. No relationship needs to get divorced. Well, that's in theory. Practicality, 10, maybe 20%, but not 50. Not 50%. That's too much damage, and it's too many people being really badly affected. We've grown used to 50%. We've grown used to being in this society of not being able to deal with relationships. Well, I think that's about time to stop. I think it's about time we stop. I think it's about time we sat there and said, right, let's deal with our relationships properly, and let's own ourselves. The fact is, we can't deal with them alone. We've got to go and get some sort of outside help. We need someone from the outside to look in and say, hey, you're doing this. And I know when I have that, when I see it there, my first initial thing is, I hate what they say. I hate it when people tell me the truth about what I'm doing. But I've learnt that if I can get over that, and once you deal with that stuff, it's all gone, it's gone forever, and away we go. Okay? So, thank you for watching this, and I look forward to